So I've been out for a bit, having to deal with a couple personal things. I'm a little ill, to be honest. So I'm trying to work myself back into the whole commentary thing and my Trump derangement syndrome kind of lightly. So for this video, we're not talking about Trump ducking responsibility for the war in Ukraine or being worried about getting to heaven. And we're technically not talking about the invasion of DC, although we'll have a sandwich update in a day or so. But we are digging into the war that he's causing, starting with museums. As they're out of control, he says. Trump ramped up his critique of the Smithsonian, specifically calling those museums out of control for emphasizing how bad slavery was. And I'm pretty sure it was bad, and portraying U.S. in a negative light. He posted these remarks on Truth Social in many different cases and instructed his attorneys to review the exhibits, such as the administration has done with the colleges, to indicate possible pressure through funding threats, cutting off funding to the museums for not covering history, or not covering history as Trump sees it, or not covering history in the American way as Trump sees it, because slavery wasn't all that bad as Trump sees it. A few weeks ago, he actually launched a review of the 8 of the Smithsonian's museums. There's 21 in total here on the mall in DC. One like the National Museum of American History and the National Museum of African American History and Culture. Those make a difference. The goal is to remove divisive and ideological driven narratives that replace them with content that promotes unity, progress, and American exceptionism all within 120 days. It's hard to erase, slavery and the Trail of Tears and things like that in 120 days. Well, apparently not so hard for the Trump administration because they're trying their best to do it. But they're not going to make that goal, let's just say. But the critics of Trump are warning that this move is blurring the line between politics and historical representation. Like literally, like politics is pushing what's being told as opposed to what happens, which is how we learn things. Groups like the Association of Art Museum Directors and American Alliance of Museums are emphasizing that curators and historians must steer clear of steering exhibits towards politician wants as opposed to what we're pretty sure actually happened. They argue that political interference could erode credibility and intimidate museums nationwide. Now, the push for optimism, showing that, America is great, is awesome. That's why we have these museums and tell the stories. But historical truth, like slavery was bad, is a problem when you don't say slavery was bad, but we overcame it, as opposed to slavery wasn't all that bad, and eventually we got over it. There's a difference in the tone, what I said right there, and yes, I'm being flip, but also being real. Focusing on the brightness of the future is great if there's a bright future ahead, but the problem is, in the now, if it's not so great, it's hard to see that bright future. And in the past, you can't conflict on the things that were the actual conflicts that made things not so bad or not so good to make things now not so bad or good. You see where I'm going there. It's perspective. And when you try to cover up history or not show things as they actually happened, you get a very sanitized result. You get a history that is not history, it's propaganda. It's indoctrination. It is not what America is supposed to stand for. It's what those European countries who went over there to fight with to keep those things from happening. A lot of happenings going on. Now, this might appeal to those who feel museums dwell too much on suffering, but who cares? It's history. History is about what happened. And if people suffered, you have to know someone suffered for this thing and we got it. Oh yeah, people suffered in the world wars. People died in those wars so we have a better life. Are we not talking about that? Are we not talking about people dying? Or they just went over there to Europe and snapped their fingers and poof, Hitler just decided, said, okay, I'm up, I'm done. That's not how history works, not how war works. Shouldn't be how museums work. Historians are cautioning the omitting of hard truths, like things that actually happened, leaving the incomplete picture and may hinder civic understanding. We complain about our kids not knowing anything. If we don't teach them anything, they can't know. The Smithsonian is funded by Congress, operates independently, has no issue with has not issued a formal response to Donald Trump yet. They're just doing museum things. But tensions are building and they must speak out at some point in time, with pro-history voices being ready to push against the decades of progress being undermined by literally the Trump administration, or I should say Donald Trump himself wanting pretty pictures as opposed to things that are ugly. While supporters see this as reclaiming a positive narrative, what happens when we erase the memories of things gone bad? Remember, I started out as 3/5 of a person, technically, but not an actual person, for the sake of counting in a actual census so that the South could have more people on the rolls because I wasn't a citizen. But I was a person, me particularly, I was a person. I was property and I existed. So they want to get something out of that. Shouldn't people know that? Shouldn't that be something that you understand? And shouldn't that be something that we overcame to get better, as opposed to we just sort of just let it go? This one could get a little spicy in the comments, and I was preparing to comment in spicy ways. So let me know what you think about this. It's personal to a sense because it literally is erasing history and going back to saying that things that happened that progress to make me have the chances I have right now not have those chances is a problem. Not talking about the bad things helps you not remember that bad things happened and will allow you to easily fall into a trap where bad things can happen again because you don't have that notion of something happening and what happened in the past. You don't have to agree with it. You don't have to like it, but you have to acknowledge that everyone did not have a simple Mayberry growing up style up to this point in time. Some people had some issues. Some people are happy they had issues because it meant stronger people in the back end. Some people aren't so happy with issues, but they survived and got here anyway and continue to thrive. Museums are history. They hold our history, and they should hold the proper history. So you see things as they are. You go to a prison camp, that's a museum. You go to a concentration camp, that's a museum, and you understand the horrors that were going through the people at the time of the world wars. And you can go understand the horrors of the people who were trying to hide these things as just normal days of life stuff, or feeling like they had the rights to do these things. It helps keeps the evil people away if you tell somebody this is what an evil person looks like, as opposed to not telling someone what the evil person looks like, and then the evil person shows up and convinces you, oh no, they're the good guys. Who are the good guys in the battle for museums? I think you figured out where I'm rolling with this one. So feel free to throw my Trump derangementism at me because I'm totally feeling it now. We're trying to get back into the news cycle of doing more stories, and hopefully it'll be shorter stories than this one. But this one is a story that is lingering more than it should because it's a story that shouldn't be. Your comments are welcome.